whatever we do, people should be at the center and developing their skill set, their capabilities should be at the center. Otherwise, it's not going to work out. Number two, no country has done it alone. The only way to really develop and bring prosperity to our people is to find a way to sell our products to others and to ensure that others partner with us. This is the big lesson of development. Nobody in the history of the world has actually brought prosperity to their people by not partnering with the rest of the world, most importantly, with their neighbors. And I think if Premier Deng Xiaoping will be considered the greatest leader of the 20th century, it is because he understood this lesson. And as a result, he brought out 700 million people out of poverty. But he could do it only because he realized that the model has got to change. So this is very important because in a way we are assembled here, and I think we have an opportunity to try and find ways how to actually do business. And a corollary of this is the third lesson I want to share with you, is that the only way to develop and bring prosperity is if you allow your private sector people to perform. Many countries thought that government bureaucrats could make policies, could regulate the economy, could finance the projects, could manage the projects, and do everything. And they all lost about 7 decades. So government ministers are not that important. They are only important if they make good policies. But you have to allow the players to perform. Coaches cannot play on the ground. The managers and the coaches have a role, but really for the match to proceed, for the players to show up, for the evening to be exciting, you have to get the players. And I think a missing ingredient in many of the conversations is that the managers and coaches in their fancy suits and ties and, speeches written by their subordinates make all this talk and then they disappear, nothing happens. So now we have to begin to figure out that if we are going to have a model of a dialogue, or if we are going to have a kind of a sensible, practical, not just polite and conversation, but practical conversation, then I think we have to try and inject some of these lessons of development in our own dialogue. So coming back now to this region, that is the focus. You see, we have real problems which have been already articulated, so I don't want to belabor those. We have poor connectivity, we have low trade. I guess our trade between Central Asia and South Asia is less than 5%. Apparently in East Asia it's 35%. In EU it's close to 60%. We hardly have any rail connections. Our border crossings are pretty pathetic. We have excessive visa restrictions. Our infrastructure links are very poor. We have unharmonized customs. We have poor access to insurance and finance. We have archaic foreign exchange rules. And we have lousy and restrictive visa, regimes. All that is true. So I think we can keep talking about connectivity and quoting other countries' figures, but the agenda is staring at us in the face. The question is not to get, very fancy in repeating them over and over. The question is, okay, what do we want to do about it? And I think If we zero in on that, in my humble opinion, the time will be best spent. Now, we can have a Schengen type visa. Why not? Why aren't we doing that? Maybe that's the starting point. If our people don't know each other, I'm sure that there are many countries' representatives whose people don't know each other at all. 15 years back, I was Minister for Investment of this country. And I said, okay, who are some of the great friends of Pakistan? And I thought, okay, maybe people think China is, Turkey is, Saudi Arabia is. And then I realized that our people hardly interact with anybody from these countries. That's 15 years back. I don't know anybody who goes to Turkey. I don't know anybody who goes to Saudi Arabia other than for religious reason. And I didn't know anybody who went to China 15 years back. And the same was true of the other side. So all that used to happen is our leaders used to meet and have big flags in front of them and make great speeches and then disappear. And of course a lot of MOUs were signed. So we have to figure out that apart from business, we have to ensure that there is real contact. There's human contact. And I would also encourage you to not just spend your time in the Syria, but get out. And please go spend some money also. We need it. Okay. So now, as I said, number one, learn from relevant international experience. Stay focused on the things that matter. 3, don't spend too much time repeating, talking about the problems, but zero in on the solutions. Money is available. That's the third point I want to make. There is so much money chasing so few projects. The Asia Infrastructure Bank alone has $100 billion. The World Bank, Asian Development Bank, Islamic Development Bank, they are very, very tiny. They all are very tiny compared to the hundreds of billions of dollars that the private sector has. And we spend a lot of time running around after World Bank or Islamic Development Bank for $2 billion or $4 billion, when there are hundreds of billions of dollars looking for good projects. But what we do is make very bad policies that don't attract that hundreds of billions of dollars. And we create a lot of obstacles in the way of that money to come to our countries. At one time I was, a World Bank head in Saudi Arabia, and there was always this discussion, how to bring Saudi money to Saudi Arabia. They always say, oh, we have so much money outside Saudi Arabia. We just have to get it back. And that is true in many other countries also. But you know what? You will never get that money back. Because rich people don't make decisions themselves. Their bankers make the decisions for them. And the bankers are the same. The only way a Saudi rich will bring his money into Saudi Arabia or a Brazilian rich will bring his money into Brazil is when you make it easy for everyone else to bring their money into your country. When the Germans and the Dutch and the Chinese are going to bring money to Saudi Arabia, that's when the Saudi rich banker will say, sir, take your money there also. So do not think you can trick other people. Like in this country, we are always talking of overseas Pakistanis. Well, overseas Pakistanis are smart. They will bring their money here just when everyone else thinks it's attractive to bring their money here. So do not think in terms of nationality. Money has no nationality. The only thing you have to say is that we love the money from New Zealand as much as we love from Mauritius or from Thailand. It doesn't matter. Or Iran, of course. So what's important is therefore to set the policy regime in such a way that it becomes attractive for everyone looking for an opportunity. And when I see these countries around the table and some of the other, I see opportunity everywhere. Sometimes people ask me as a minister, that somehow they think I know more than others, which is actually not true. But they don't know that. So they ask me, which sector should we come in? What's your priority? And I say, how the hell am I supposed to know? You are the world's largest oil producer. You are the world's largest gold producer. You are the world's largest producer of telephone services. Who am I to advise you? All I see is that everywhere there is opportunity. 2 years, 3 years back, we began to control our security problem, and now there's a stampede. We cannot deal with the number of people who want to visit the north of Pakistan.